Hi, everyone. Welcome to Pitching Yourself. I'm Marie Wiese. Good morning, good afternoon, good day, wherever you might be joining us from. Thanks so much for being part of this session. I'm really excited about this session because it's an important part of the curriculum for high performance presenting, a course that we deliver for tech teams and for technical people who want to improve their performance skills. And so we've done a lot of work on this presentation and we hope we've gotten it right. We welcome your feedback at the end of the session. Let's jump in. We've subtitled this talk today, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it's a bit tongue in cheek and it's a bit of a joke. And I'll explain in a minute. That expression, how to win friends and influence people, came from Dale Carnegie in 1936. 1936 was a long time ago, and a lot has changed since then. The core premise of the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is that you need to, one, show genuine interest. I know that seems like a bit of a no-brainer, but that is exactly what you need to do if you're going to get people on your side. You have to express empathy in an honest way, and you have to be able to communicate well. Today in our session, that's what we're going to focus on. Communicating well, how we pitch ourselves, how we offer clarity to people that we meet, to people we might be trying to influence, to potential employers, pretty much anyone where we get asked at a cocktail party, who are you? What do you do? Why should I care? Why should I listen? And so today, I hope that by the end of this session, you'll take away a couple of really solid tools to help you start to craft this message. Who are you? And how do you articulate about yourself? The other reason we think that this is so important and why this is part of the Women Talk Tech series is because we firmly believe that when more women have their voice heard in the tech sector, we will encourage more women to join the sector. This is, again, part of the work we've been doing in the last year at Marketing Copilot to understand how we can have a real impact on getting more women into tech. And a quote from Warren Buffett that we find particularly powerful is that the easiest way to increase your worth instantly by 50% is to improve your communication skills, both written and verbal. And that starts with how you present yourself, how you pitch yourself. It might be in a meeting when you're a new employee. You might be asked to do it at a networking event. But the bottom line is when we have clarity around our personal why, and we do a really great job communicating it, doors open. And so that's why I think this curriculum is so important, why it's an important part of high performance presenting, but more importantly, why we think it's a really valuable thing to be doing to encourage more women to get into the tech sector and stay in the tech sector. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Marie Wiese, and I'm going to walk you through a bit of an exercise here. And I'm going to ask you, who is Marie Wiese? You might have seen me on LinkedIn. You might have met me in person. You might have taken one of my courses. Or you might just have seen me online at some point. And you have immediate thoughts about who I am. You might have those thoughts in conjunction with content that I've delivered. You might just have them in conjunction with seeing my photo. So when I ask people, who is Marie Wiese? When you ask people, who are you? What kind of answer do they give you? How do people describe me? This is an exercise that we did. Well, I might be considered an older white woman that's tall and loud. I know that's definitely how my family describes me. And maybe people in business who would see me for the first time might describe me that way. But that's not necessarily how I want to be known. How do I want people to describe me? Here are 3 things that I'm most proud of. I'm proud of being a writer and author. I'm proud of being a podcaster. And I'm proud of this core skill that I have that seems to be my superpower about being a storyteller. So right now, I want you to take a minute and I want you to think of 3 things that you're most proud of. Take a minute and write those down. What are you most proud of? Things that define you, things that make you who you are. They could be physical. It could be a family trait that you're particularly proud of. It could be a business trait. It could be an academic trait. Write down the 3 things you're most proud of. Now, as we looked at those previous things that I told you, author, podcaster, storyteller, you might not remember those facts. And when you leave here today and you try to describe, oh, I took this webinar with this woman named Marie Wiese, and you go back to describe them, you probably won't be able to do it very well. And why is that? Because in those 3 statements, there was no gravitas. And what I mean by gravitas is there were no proof points. What things will make me as an author memorable? What things will make me as a podcaster memorable? The memorable part of it is what's so important. So adding the gravitas and making it memorable. When you don't make it memorable, people don't know how they relate to you, and they don't know why they should care. And let's be honest, people care about themselves. And so the important thing to remember is that as you're talking about you have to make it about the people you're talking to or that you're trying to attract or engage. Add gravitas now to those 3 things that you're proud of. What makes them real? What makes them powerful? What makes them memorable? Today, we're going to talk about your value statement. We're going to talk about a thing called the SAR model, and we're going to talk about becoming memorable. And I hope that by the end of the session today, you'll have been able to craft an outline for your own personal pitch. That's our goal of today, because your personal pitch is what opens doors. So let's get right into it. A value statement is a combination of things. It might be your superpowers. It might be a mission statement that you have for your life, or it might be log lines. And we're going to go through each one of those things, and I'm going to explain them to you so that you can start writing them down and figuring out your own value statement. Let's talk first about superpowers. We all have them, things we do better than anyone else. And these things are so natural to us that sometimes we don't see how important they are. We don't see them as being special because we just get up every day and do them. For example, I didn't realize how powerful my storytelling abilities were until I started to develop value propositions for companies so that they could stand out from the crowd and cut through the clutter online. When I started to document how I go about building a value proposition for a business, I realized really quickly that that was a superpower of mine. And as I kind of scaled it back and tried to figure out, well, what would you call that superpower? I realized it's the ability to tell a story. So that's one of my personal superpowers. And what I encourage you to do right now is start to make a list of the things that you think are your superpowers. They might be things like being nice, getting things done, showing up regularly for people, for friends, family, and colleagues. It could be a whole variety of things. And later on in the session, we're going to use an example and show you how to build that out based on your superpowers. To find your superpowers, you might find it a really tough exercise. So think about what people come to you for. What do they ask you for help with? What would your last job have been like if you weren't there? And what are you most proud of? Again, back to those things. And I know personally, I don't like to brag about myself or talk about myself. And sometimes it's hard for me to say, what am I most proud of? But it's a really good exercise. Get up in the morning, grab your coffee or tea, sit down and make a list of the things that make you proud, because in there, you will find your superpowers. With respect to a mission statement, a personal mission statement identifies where you want to be in the future and what the values are that are going to get you there. Maybe you dream of being independently wealthy and living on a desert island somewhere in the Caribbean. That's okay. Those are really good things to want to attest to or ascribe to. But what's really important about that is you need to think about how you get there. It's not just about making money as an example, but how are you going to make money and what values are you going to stick to get there? I'm going to assume that not a lot of us are going to go out and rob a bank. But you get what I'm saying, that we bring values to the table every day, things that we just think are non starters, that we wouldn't cross the line. And so you want to think about where you want to be in the future and what you're prepared to do to get there. As you break it apart into your own personal value, your own personal mission statement, what do you want to be? What do you want to be known for? What are your values? I personally want to be known for helping women and advocating for women, particularly in the tech sector. I want to be known for the person who gave other people a voice. And I might have to tell stories to create that voice. As far as my own personal values, I don't want to do it in a critical way by bringing other people down or criticizing other people. I want to do it in a positive way that shares positive stories and makes people feel good when they listen to them. So those are my personal values and how I would go about crafting my own personal mission statement. I hope those examples helped you. Here's some more examples that might help you. I need creative freedom. I want to work in a place where I feel I can trust the organization. I'm sure all of us have been in that situation where we've had a job and we've really felt like we can't trust the organization. And it's a terrible place to be because it goes against our own personal values. We might say things like, I function best with specific tasks, or I have a laid back approach, but I always get my work done. Think about how you want to put down your statements and how they appear to you. Let's talk about log lines now. And log lines comes from the idea of dissecting a log and seeing how your history begins to grow and expand. And year over year and ring after ring gets added to your own professional identity and journey. The elements of a log line are action. There has to be some type of action. There has to be a time period assigned to it, and there has to be a goal in mind. So I know that oftentimes when we work in a business, we're able to establish log lines with respect to revenue and how the business does from a financial perspective. Think about it in those terms. In the next 18 months, I want to make X amount of money, and I will do so by achieving the following goal. Maybe that's a new job, a new career in a certain area. That's how we can apply it to ourselves personally. But log lines can be a lot more than just financial. They can be where we're at in our academic career. They could be where we're at in our personal journey and our family journey. They could be where we're at in our own set of goals that we have within a particular job. So write those things down, but make sure that they're action oriented, there's a specific time period, and you have a goal in mind. Here's an example. Logical and straightforward thinker, very practical, quick to respond, excellent time management skills. You will come to me for help and questions because you know that I'm quick to either get the answer you need or resourceful enough to find someone who can get the answer instead. I'm a loyal fighter and survivor. I might appear shy and disconnected, but I live by a strong set of values, and I will not be quiet if those values are attacked, whether personally or for someone on my team. I will be the best teammate you can have in your corner. This was a personal example from somebody that I helped build their pitch about who they are and why that mattered. This is how we wrote her pitch statement together. Imagine a bungee cord. It's practical and solves a problem quickly. I'm a business analyst. I'm the bungee cord that connects business language and process to technology challenges. These are the skills I bring to the job every day: logical, practical, responsive, and a survivor. So you can see how we took three things that mattered to this individual and we turned it into a pitch statement for who they are as a business analyst. And this is what they now use to introduce themselves within the job. They like this idea of a bungee cord. It's honest, it's practical, it solves a problem, it's trustworthy. And we've created an image around how she brings those things to her everyday work as a business analyst. How can we use all three of these strategies? The log line, the mission statement, and the superpowers. Well, the superpower is your brand at work. The mission statement is your direction, and the log line is your journey. And that's how you put all three of these together to create your personal brand. The elements of your personal brand should be who you are, what you do, who you can help, how you can help, and what makes you unique. Most importantly, why they should care. Remember, I said everybody cares about themselves. What's in it for me? We can't avoid that today in society. So that's what you're working towards as you put together the elements of your personal brand. Why should people care about the things you're good at? Let's talk now about the SAR model. And the SAR model stands for situation, action, and result. If we put these three things together and answer the situation, the action, and the result, we can use it to build core thoughts about our experiences and why those experiences mattered. So let's talk about the situation. For example, we're going to be communicating successful projects. You might want to provide high-level background information about the situation. Make it short. Make it simple. Here's an example. Delivery speed is an ongoing issue for consumers. Moving inventory from our warehouse to consumers was hurting our brand, impacting our revenue, and we were at risk of losing clients. It's a pretty simple statement, and it's pretty easy to understand the situation that this person was in. When you write down your approach, you want to describe one or two actions that you took to solve the challenge. I realized automation was the answer. There was a risk. It was going to cost money. But if we developed a business case, we could outline the long-term gains. Then I helped people visualize the building in the delivery model. I showed them the potential improvement. Finally, I identified our break-even point and projected dates where we would start to generate revenue. So now we're talking about the action that we took. Now we talk about the success. My plan was to build a 10,000 square foot building with 200 robots. The executives loved the idea so much, they agreed to a 15,000 square foot building with 300 robots. So that's how we took the situation, the assessment, and the result, and we put it together. The situation, the action, and the result. And we put it together to create elements that actually could be used for our personal brand. Now, maybe we did something as a volunteer. Maybe we did something in our work life that fell into this category of situation, action, and result. It could be something very simple like helping a friend solve a short-term housing crisis. But now you start to understand what your personal brand is made of and the elements we can use to craft it. Now let's go to my favorite topic, becoming memorable. So let's go back to the question I asked you at the top of the hour. Who is Marie Wiese? So if we take this worksheet and we insert our own name here, it doesn't have to be Marie Wiese. The original statement that I presented to you was writer/author, podcaster, and storyteller. Those were my superpowers. Those were the things that I felt my superpower was storyteller, but the things I was most proud of was being an author and a podcaster. We now add gravitas. Do you remember I said we need those proof points about what makes it compelling? And as an author, I've had a book hit the Wall Street Journal and USA Today best-selling list. So that gives it some gravitas. As a podcaster, I've had 30 plus years advocating for women in the tech sector. And as a storyteller, I am incredibly committed to helping people and businesses find their why. A tough thing to do sometimes, but those are the things that to me give these statements gravitas. Now I add in a statement about what makes it memorable. So before I'd put author, but adding best-selling author makes it memorable. Now I can clearly state advocate for women. And the last one, enabling people and businesses to stand out, is really what I do well and what my superpower is. So we take the original statement, we give it gravitas, and then we find a way to make it memorable. So I hope you'll do this worksheet, and I hope you'll add things to it that make you stand out, make you memorable. So here's how we rewrote the statement. Marie Wiese, host of Women Talk Tech. I'm a best-selling author and host of over 150 podcast episodes advocating for women, with decades of experience helping people and businesses stand out and make more money. I don't know if you're going to remember that today, but I think it's a lot more memorable than tall white woman who is loud and talks a lot. I hope that helps you understand how you take the elements that we've discussed and we build a really compelling pitch statement for ourselves. If you've been interested in this topic and you'd like to learn more for your company or your business, we offer a program called High Performance Presenting. And our whole goal is to help you improve your career and get your voice heard. We have a brochure here for anybody who's interested in bringing this back to their organization. We've worked with lots of big organizations, particularly with people directly in the tech part of the organization, to help them do a better job of presenting complex information, business information, and positioning themselves and pitching themselves. So we hope you'll consider that as maybe an option for your organization. What we'd also like to talk about today is the Women in IT Summit and Awards series, and very briefly say that nominations are still open. If you're on the line today and you're building a bio about yourself and you're a woman in tech, I highly encourage you to do a great thing for yourself and consider nominating yourself for one of these awards, because it's really important that we raise our voices as women in the tech sector so that more people will consider a career in tech. The deadline for these nominations is Friday, June 23rd. We have a QR code here on the screen. Please snap it and you'll be taken right to the awards series summit where we can promote it for Women in IT, which is an organization we do volunteer work for. I want to thank everybody for being part of this call today. We want to make it short and sweet. And we hope that you'll now spend the remaining time that you might have blocked for this particular webinar and go back and think about your mission statement, your superpowers, and your log line. Because as you start to document these things and give yourself time to do these things, you'll be able to put together a killer pitch statement for yourself. And if anybody wants to send their pitch statement to me and they need help with it, I encourage you to do it. My email's on the screen, marie@marketingcopilot.com. I've helped hundreds of people with these pitch statements. I love doing it. And if you need assistance for whatever the next step might be in your life, I encourage you to please contact me and I'll help you with your pitch statement. And as always, we ask you to please follow Women Talk Tech on iTunes or Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. And please share the word about the importance of raising the voice of women and encouraging more women to consider a career in the tech sector so that we can level the playing field and have a bigger voice in something that will impact us now and in the future. I'm Marie Wiese. You've heard my pitch. I can't wait to hear yours. Thanks, everyone.